Hi, and welcome to the Designer Showcase. I'm Rose Bolson, the current high school intern at Indiana Fashion Foundation. And today we are going to learn more about your story as a designer, your experience at Indiana Fashion Week, and everything you've been doing since. So thank you so much for joining us. If you would like to introduce yourself, go ahead.
Oh, hi, I am Andrea Campbell. I'm the owner of Andrea Campbell Designs. We are a women's clothing brand where we strive to create an effortless wardrobe for curvy women everywhere. Our goal is to create pieces that make sense, pieces that stand out, and pieces that bring you joy. And so I'm just happy to be here and again for another opportunity to work with Indiana Fashion Week. It's been a great experience from the beginning. So it's just always great to come back in and continue to meet the team and do more things
Yeah,
with you.
of course. So I just want to start off by asking what inspired you to be a designer?
Oh man. So I started in the fifth grade. It was a random downtime, which never really happened at all before that. And I remember a classmate of mine drew a triangle dress on a scrap piece of paper. And I was like, oh, I could do that. And so I tried to sketch it. And then all of a sudden, it was just like a flood of ideas.
Yeah.
And I literally sketched the rest of the day on the way home on the bus, when I got home. And I just kept doing it. So after that, just the women around me in my neighborhood, in my church, and my family, and magazines were my go-tos for inspiration.
Yeah, I love that. And did your company used to be named 1214?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that and like when and why did you rebrand to Andrea Campbell?
So it has been a personal growth journey for me. Um, when I started the company, the logo I knew, but to put my own name out there, I wasn't confident enough.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I thought I just wanted to create a brand and then kind of hide behind it.
Mm.
And as I grew in helping my clients love themselves and feel strong and confident in themselves, I was like, well, I've got to do the work too. So like, as I did the work with them, it came to the point where I was like, okay, this might get bigger than just fashion. It might grow into lifestyle. Like, I have all these ideas for technologies and things like that. And I still wanted to be under the same umbrella. And it was like, okay, I finally had the confidence to say, I can carry this under my own name. I can be the face. I can not shy away from it. And so it really was more of a declaration, like, okay, I've grown to this point. Let me go ahead and do it. And I changed the name, and that it was a pivotal point for me in
Yeah.
my life. So it was more of a personal thing, but this entrepreneurship for me it goes hand in hand
Yeah.
with my personal growth as well. So
Yeah.
yes, we made that change last year. Yeah,
Oh wow, last year. That's awesome.
yeah.
So were you at Indiana Fashion Week, was that kind of like the premiere of like Andrea like Campbell like publicly and stuff?
Yes, and I didn't expect it at all. When I changed the name, I just thought, okay, it was more for me. And, I just was kind of telling people and changed the site and things like that. But I didn't make a big to do about it. It was more for me. So when I got the invitation to be a part of Indiana Fashion Week, I was like, oh my gosh, it was just God just bringing things
Yeah.
together in such a timely way. And I feel like it felt even better walking out there and seeing my name across the screen, and I don't know, it just all came together for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What would you say like your overall approach to designing is?
So I love to design anything. I
Mm.
just love design. And for me, with my clothing line, it really is about the woman. I try to design for each body type. Because when I first started doing custom work, most of my clients, I heard them say, I hate shopping. And
Mhm.
for me, growing up, my mother is a shopper and I love to shop. I was like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Like who says that? And they hated to shop. And what I found was that they felt it was like a maze they were getting lost in. And I was like, I could solve that. A lot of it was just not knowing how to dress for your body type, because that hindered them from even finding their style because they got stuck with it just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And so once we got the fit right, then it was okay, let's explore your style. And so I found that I could do that with my clothing line if I really focused on each woman and what fits them best, and then show my style. But I had to make sure that it fit and that it worked for each woman, and really just be very inclusive and understand that all women have curves. They're just different.
Yeah.
And one thing may work for me, it may not work for you, but in the day, we could still find what makes us happy and makes, accentuates the best parts of us. And
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And have you found that clothing for curvy women is growing in the fashion industry, or do you think that this is something that's just going to continue to grow and grow as years go on?
Yes, it has come a long way. It really has. And the accessibility of it
Yeah.
has really helped. And I find that it is growing. I love that more big retailers and chains are bringing in more independent artists, and designers, because I think it allows them to provide those products, but also have a designer that is truly like intending to design for this demographic, and not just throwing something on a large T-shirt. It's like, okay, does this T-shirt work for a woman who's curvy, and does it fit them and address those issues? So I love where it's going, and I can see it growing even more. I love. I'm really trying to come up with more ideas of how to make the online experience a little more better for curvy women, because there are some things we need to know before
Yeah.
we before we buy. And some of that is just not mentioned online. So you kind of still taking a risk. But that's kind of where the world is. So,
Yeah.
we have to keep innovating, coming up with ideas to better the experience. Because I always think about it like this: getting dressed is literally one of the first things you do in a day. So if that's a hassle and a pain, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of your day. So
Yeah.
my goal is to try and help, bring some things about, which I'm working on now, to really help make the experience a lot better so we can start our days better.
Yeah. And you just talked about like shopping online. How are you making that more accessible and easy for curvy women?
So with my site right now, we're trying to construct some things where we organize the clothes by body type, so you can start there.
Mm.
Also creating some tools to help you figure out what is your body type,
Yeah.
and also give you those tools so that you carry it on not just with my brand, but as you shop. So to go, okay, I can, buy this wrap dress because that's a go-to style for my body type. But if I want it to be more floral or more spring or look at something a little more retro or vintage, wrap dresses go across the board. So now you have not only like your go-to, but now you can find that style that fits you best. So just trying to create some tools and organization to help people understand, what body types are and how they can work best for you and not feel like they're a restriction, but more of a guide.
Mm.
And give you some of those keys that you can use and you don't get stuck in these,
Yeah.
trying to find, the things that you love.
Yeah, I love that. So fashion can like often go unnoticed in Indiana compared to like other huge capitals in our nation. And so in your eyes, how does fashion play a role in Indiana?
Fashion, it's kind of playing a role in a not so obvious way. I was born and raised here,
Mhm.
and I know for me growing up in church, fashion was a thing. Like you, it was like the first fashion show I've ever saw was at church,
Mm.
and it was every Sunday morning. I would watch women get out and go to church in my neighborhood. I would run to the window to watch, particularly two of my neighbors, because they dressed to go to church. I mean, full furs, everything, and I had to see it. And then when I got to church and my mother and the women in my church, I was always watching and seeing who was wearing what. And I just loved it. I just thought, it really, and each one of them had their own style, which I love. So they all kind of dressed for church, but they all had their own way of doing it. And I love that. And so I feel like it's here, it's just not promoted as much. It's not made a main focal
Yeah.
point. And so, but it has grown. It has grown. My first time seeing an actual fashion show was at the Black Expo when I was really young.
Mhm.
And that was my first time seeing that here in Indiana and not in a magazine or on TV. So it has come a long way. You used to have to wait to that one time a year to see something like that. And so now we're having more events. And I think what we have found is that there's this untapped talent here. There's
Yeah.
so many designers here that they just haven't been seen yet. And so many of them who didn't know they had the resources here to do that. And so I think that's the most exciting part, is that you can see this community really kind of bubbling up. And right now, from my experience, most designers, everyone's like, oh, we're in this together. Like, it's like a community, like, oh, you do that. This is what I do. This is how I use it. And it's, it's really like a really nurturing community. And I appreciate that. So I know it's going to grow. I hope it keeps its kind of hometown authenticity still working together, kind of thing. But I am excited to see it continue to grow.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you briefly mentioned it, but how did you hear about Indiana Fashion Week last year?
So I heard about it when they did the incubator,
Mm.
and I wasn't able to do it at that time. I had too many orders going on.
Yeah.
And I couldn't like focus in, but I was really excited about seeing that as well. And so I kind of just watched that process, and then I got an email. I don't know who contacted who, but she emailed me again, and so I was like, "Oh yes, I can do this now." But just seeing how they, when they do Fashion Week, they go all over the place, which I think is very great. It's not just in one place in the city, like they go downtown, they host it all around the city so that everyone has a chance to get a piece of it and can see that, oh, these are the possibilities. Because fashion is a big, big world. It needs so many different talents. It needs so many different people with expertise in different areas outside of just the clothing to really make fashion work. And I think with Indiana Fashion Week, showcasing different types of fashion and different ways fashion influence the world, it really has given more people a better understanding of fashion and what their role could be in it.
Yeah. So why did you ultimately decide to do Indiana Fashion Week?
It wasn't hard. It wasn't a hard decision. I was just really excited. I've been on the other side where I've helped designers behind the stage. And so to actually be the one out there with the line, and I create a line every year, whether someone else sees it or not.
Yeah.
I create in my head. So, and I sketch it out. I do all the things, and
Yeah.
I just do it by faith. And if it makes it out into the world, great. If it doesn't, that's my little treasure. And this for last year, for all, even changing the name, everything like that, to create a line and then have the opportunity to showcase it, and to showcase it in my hometown with my family, friends, community, being able to come out and see it. It was really, really a highlight for me.
So was that your favorite part, or what was your favorite part of Indiana Fashion Week?
That was my favorite part. I think it was kind of like a full circle moment for me, from
Definitely.
start to when I first started designing to actually now, boom, everyone can see it. Because most of my work in the past has been custom work, and so it's that one of a kind, and I give it to the client, they go off with it. And this time, my whole family and everyone's able to see my actual work in front of them, and not just pictures of someone else, wearing it. Um, and just the actual environment, it was just so amazing, just huge, and it was still creative. It wasn't a carbon copy. It wasn't something that someone just put together. It was literally very thoughtful. It was, like I said, the environment was very creative. Like, I love the Darla, what is it called? What was the name of the building?
I
Is it
think
Darla?
I think it was yeah,
Okay.
it should be.
It
Yeah.
was it was just so cool. And I have my kids there to see it. My son was like, "Oh my gosh, the cars." He was just so it was really amazing. And just the process, being able to go from idea to boom, it's actually
Mhm.
here in real life and walking down a runway for people to see and take pictures in. And another thing I loved was my models, like being able to meet all the models and create a squad, as they were calling each other my squad. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I was like, I never, I was like, okay. And everyone just kind of bonded. And I was like, oh, wow. And I still keep in touch with some of them and
Oh,
get to see their careers grow. Because they've gone off and done other campaigns and things like that. And it's just been amazing. Just you see, I felt like it really opened my community up for me
yeah.
to have more, again, people in the industry who not just designers, but they are part of what makes fashion great. And so, yeah, that whole process was just amazing.
Yeah. How was like the process of picking the models and like deciding like their hair and makeup and all of that?
Okay, so picking the models was fun. It was really, really fun. Um, and I enjoyed being able to see the thing that I love because I've seen it other fashion weeks, and you kind of get the same type of model. And I feel like in Indiana, we got a very good variety
Mhm.
of people who were interested in modeling, but they had various body types, had various types of hair, very aesthetics. It was like I love that we had such a diverse group come out.
Yeah.
And picking the hair was different because I'm a designer and not a stylist.
Yeah.
So, some designers have both. I'm just a designer. So for me, I had to like really come out of that mode and really see the whole look. And that was fun. And actually, we get assigned a stylist. And so that helped. He actually worked with me and was like, hey, these are my ideas. And we came together and collaborated. And it was wonderful. Like I wasn't left alone. And I would say that about Indiana Fashion Week. I really felt supported as a designer. I feel like I didn't have to like fight for everything. I didn't have to like protect my vision. It was very much a very organic place for a designer to showcase. Like I was just very thankful that the team just really supported you. Whatever you needed, they would help find someone to help you do that.
Yeah, definitely. And so talking about like something just more fun, what do you think like your greatest strength as a designer is?
Um, Solutions. I am a solution oriented person in general, but I feel like that's been my strongest skill is being able to find a solution to my consumer's problem. Um, and coming up with a way to also make it fun and make it feel good and not because I feel like sometimes when you talk about making fashion available and make it and make sense, sometimes it can get boring and it feels like, oh, you have to make something plain Jane or something understated in order for people to be able to work with it who aren't very fashionable. um, I find that for me, I'm able to still keep it fun, keep it bright and vibrant, while still making sure that the function is there and that it's easy to style and it's something that people can find effortless.
Yeah. Hmm. What is the best advice you've ever been given as a designer?
Um, just find your voice, however long that takes. Get started. As soon as you can, but don't get so bogged down in trying to be someone else
Yeah.
or trying to fit the mold. I did that a lot when I was a teenager. I was like, I'm not that fashionista girl. I'm very much a fashion nerd. Like I love the process of fashion and creating. So I would love to dress other people. And for me, I was always like an afterthought as far as what I wore because I just was so interested in designing for other people. The best advice I've gotten was to just find your voice. And I would say as a designer, you're always doing that. Because you're growing and you evolve. And I found that just like when I changed the name, I had another level of design I wanted to do as well. So what I designed before, I was like, okay, that was great then. Now it's time to move on to something new. And so I feel like this year I've really been trying to explore and not try to keep myself in a box.
Yeah.
Just trying to create another collection. I really want to give myself space to find what's next,
Hmm.
find something new. Not leaving it, it's just what's next in this journey. And that's the fun part. Because I've grown, I've evolved, and I know some of my clients we've had these conversations as well, where it's like, oh, I'm looking for this now, and I can't find it, or I'm not sure, I feel like I need something different, and so, it's funny how I seem to have the same same things happening with the customers that I have. We seem to be going through the same phases at the same time. So,
Yeah. um, where do you see yourself or Andrea Campbell Designs in 5 years?
ooh, 5 years. I see I see Andrea Campbell Designs being multifaceted in 5 years. I definitely see us moving into more technology
Mm,
for fashion. I also see us doing having more partnerships. I hope that I am available outside of just my website. And I would love to do some collaborations. There are some amazing artists and artisans out there that I would love to partner with to create designs that incorporate their art, that incorporate their craftsmanship. And that's really what I hope, is that it has expanded and that we are kind of having our hands in multiple things, but all still trying to, with the same goal of making sure that our customers' lives are being made easier because of the things that we create.
yeah, definitely. And so as we close, I just want to ask, like, what are your current projects right now and how can we support you?
Well, my big project is I am currently moving to Seattle, Washington.
Wow.
And so that relocation process is taking a lot.
Mhm.
But it has been a real great journey. And just how your community just kind of shows up, and they're still like, oh, we'll come out there and you can, we'll make sure you're back here for this and that. And I'm like, you know, I I knew I had community, but until we were playing the league, I was like, oh wow, this is like everyone's like affected, and like saying like, wow, I can't believe, that you're leaving. And so that's been a big project. Another one is that I'm currently working on an app, and again, there's going to be something to help curvy women to shop better online. And so um, the best way I think it could support me is just um, I got to continue to be a resource. I don't know exactly yet, but I love to reach back and go, hey, can you can I ask you a question? Do you know someone that
Yeah.
does this and that? Or even just, in the future be able to test out some things, with the organization and those that are part of it. To be able to make sure that, we're actually meeting everyone's needs as much as possible. Because I can only think of so many things, but I know working in this industry, everyone have knowledge on what's needed and what will help best and how to reach,
Yeah.
our consumers and those that support our community.
Yeah, definitely. So is there anything else before we close?
Um, I can't think of anything. Other than just thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
of
it. I
course.
know these things are hard to put together. It takes time. And so I appreciate you getting me in. And just thank you to Indiana Fashion Week and the foundation for these opportunities. It takes an investment to do this. It takes a lot of sacrifice, and I appreciate it because it has definitely elevated my business. It's given me more credibility among people that I do not know. People literally, when they heard it was Indiana Fashion Week, they were like impressed, even though they had never heard of it. They were like, "Oh, that's a big deal." And I'm like, "Yeah, yes." um, I think that, again, it brings more credibility to the fashion in Indiana, because we have a fashion week, and I think the more we make those investments, you can begin to see more infrastructure, so that's dedicated to the industry. And that's how you build hubs. That's how you build places where people want to come and see what is happening here. So I'm just excited to see how it continues to grow, because I know the seeds have already been planted and it's going to bloom.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to have been a part of it in some kind of way. And I hope to continue to, because this will still be home for me. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for your time today.
Oh, thank you.
Indiana Fashion Foundation always just strives to amplify voices and share designer stories. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to do that today. And yeah, I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have amazing things planned for Andrea Campbell Designs.
Oh, thank you so much. And you have a great day as well.